Okay, the reading for Mehmet Fox for
15.
the December 15th is, you cannot have both. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot have peace of mind and have your ailment too. You cannot have a sense of divine love and have your jittery nervousness too. You cannot have a feeling of toleration and kindliness and faith and have your digestive troubles too. You cannot have harmony continually unfolding in your life and enjoy gossip and criticism too. You cannot have power in prayer and the luxury of resentment and condemnation too. You cannot build a new consciousness and a new body and live mentally in the dead past too. There's a short reading from the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. Choose you this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
And the translation in the Lamsa Bible is exactly the same. So I won't trouble you with that. Well, you know, we've had this series of conversations about joy and gratitude and happiness over the last month or so. And I thought maybe we were finished with the exploration, but this week I've been essentially deluged with ideas, conversations, articles about happiness. Now, to remind you, the joy is regarded as a deeper, longer lasting sensation, usually accompanied with a sense of connection with the great divine. And happiness is regarded as more temporary, more ephemeral, I guess we'd say. So I've been wondering, why is this still a topic? And was reminded of a study I'd seen a couple of years ago that over half the population experiences the winter holiday time as a time of sadness, depression, grief, not of happiness or looking forward. And the study was a bit old, but I see so many articles now of the general unhappiness, high anxiety that populations around the world are experiencing. And then yesterday I came across an article and a conversation based on work by Yale professor Laurie Santos. A few years ago, she offered at Yale for the first time a course on happiness. 20% of all the undergraduates signed up. It was the largest course sign up ever in the history of Yale, which in itself says something about the need. And then if you think about the statistics of suicidality among teenagers and 20-somethings, it's horrendous.
Suicidality.
Thinking of suicide.
Okay.
Thinking of suicide, okay? And so here, over our time, we've talked about happiness to a bit. We've talked about protecting our joy and the experience or the correlation of experiencing joy with building and maintaining an ever closer connection with the divine. This week, I encountered a story written in Quora, which is sort of a community conversation place, that I'm going to read to you. It's about a 92-year-old man. And the headline is, or the starter is, a 92-year-old man, small, very proud, dressed, clean-shaven, with his hair perfectly combed, moved into the nursing home one morning at 8 o'clock. His 70-year-old wife had recently passed away, forcing him to leave his home. After several hours of waiting in the nursing home lobby, he smiles kindly when we tell him his room is finally ready. As he walks to the elevator with his walker, I give him a description of his small room, including the drape hanging from his window as a curtain. I like it a lot, he says, with the enthusiasm of an 8-year-old boy who's just received a new puppy. Mr. Vinto, you haven't seen the room yet. Wait a minute. Oh, that has nothing to do with it, he says. Happiness is something I choose in advance. Whether I like my room or not does not depend on the furniture or the decorations. It depends on how I perceive it. In my head, it is already decided that I like my room. It is a decision I make every morning when I wake up. He goes on, I can choose. I can spend the day in bed counting the difficulties I have with the parts of my body that do not work, or I can get up and thank the heavens for the ones that still work. Every day is a gift, and as long as I can open my eyes, I will focus on the new day and all the happy memories I have collected throughout my life. And then he goes on, old age is like a bank account. You withdraw from what you have accumulated. So he tells her, so my advice to you would be to deposit a lot of happiness in your bank account of memories. And then the writer of the story says, remember these simple rules to be happy. Free your heart of hate. Free your head from worries. Live simply. Give more. Expect less. So I had read this and was thinking about it and saying, well, this might be worthy of a conversation sometime. And then I had two encounters that showed the alternative paths people can take. One gal I know was, I guess I'd say calling for support or calling to complain because her 7-year-old had spent that morning catastrophizing. It was a school day. Goes to put his shoes on, the shoelace breaks. Can't find another set of shoes. He's predicting he's going to miss his bus. If he misses his bus, he's going to miss class. If he misses class, he's going to miss the test, and he's going to fail the test, and then he's going to fail the course, and on and on and on. And she tried to interrupt him, but he wouldn't be stopped from thinking of all the bad things that he was sure would happen to him. How often do we get caught in that trap? Yeah, I used to do it all the time. So what happened? The mom looked at the shoelace, tied it back together, tied his shoes up, and away he went. Catastrophizing doesn't necessarily represent truth, though we can certainly make it represent truth through the power of self-fulfilling prophecy. And then I ended up talking with a longtime acquaintance of mine, and he was going on, and he was talking about things he ought to be happy about, but they weren't enough for him. After several years, and by the way, this is nobody any of you know. So, and I've modified it so even if you did happen to know him, you wouldn't recognize him. But after several years of sort of hopscotching between short-term pickup jobs, he's got a stable job now. Not his ideal job, but the company's very happy with him. They've even featured him a couple of times in the corporate newsletter for things that they regard that he's done as outstanding. but he's not happy. It didn't count that he's been recognized. Doesn't count that he's got a stable job finally, so he can contribute to his family. Doesn't count that the bosses are taking notice of him. He hasn't been given a promotion. He hasn't gotten a raise. Well, he's only been there 6 months. But you see the pattern. He's got grown kids. They're only calling a couple times a month. He feels like they're disrespecting him. Well, tell that to the people where the grown children don't call him at all. He just will not allow himself to think anything's good enough. So here are two alternate paths you can take, both of which lead to unhappiness, and both of which lead you away from divine presence. Think of that. It's the same thing in the sense that Fox is saying. You can't have both. You can't have the good and the bad at the same time. Choose one or the other. Or Father Brown in the G.K. Chesterton series, you can maintain a level of good. You can build a level of good. But once you start taking the level of not good, what we would call lower frequency on the Hawkins scale, it's easier and easier to slide down that pathway. And as you're sliding down that pathway, as you're emphasizing the not good, as you're catastrophizing, you're moving farther and farther away from your connection with the divine being. It could be argued that you are in fact denying your relationship with the divine being, denying your own access to the love that God has for each one of us, for the open arms that God has for each one of us. And if you don't already understand it, understand, padding along the path of lower frequency, of non-love, of self-disappointment, of expecting the worst is not the place you want to be. Sister Pepper herself used to say, there's no hell up there or around here. The hell is right here. While you're living right here, you create your own hell. And why does any of us want to do that? Well, some of us choose to. Some of us have been trained to do that by our parents, by others around us, sometimes by our own stubbornness. And if you find yourself doing it, time to change it. Put the brakes on. Consciously turn things around. There's another aspect to this that is interesting, and that is some researchers have found that when you practice gratitude as a happiness, by expressing it to others, your brain functions better. And by extension, from our understanding, your life functions better. Now, Dr. Santos, the gal who did that happiness course and now has a happiness broadcast, and if I remember correctly, she's received a MacArthur grant as well for this, recommends as part of building your happiness bank, gratitude. And we've talked about gratitude a lot, so for the moment, I'm not going to get further into that, but just think about it. And in the test that they did to see what happened to your brain, what they did was they chose a random number of students, broke them into 3 groups, and one group did nothing. One group, they asked, what was it, once a day to write a letter of gratitude each day for 3 weeks to somebody. Didn't have to send it, and most of them didn't. And the other group was to write down things they were unhappy about. Well, guess which group had a brain that was functioning better and reported feeling happier, did not report feeling depressed, or reported lifting of depression? It was the group writing the gratitude letters, even without sending them. Now, let's take another extension. This wasn't part of the study, but we know of the interconnection between us. So first of all, what are the odds the people to whom those gratitude letters were written, even if they never saw them, got a jolt of benefit from it? Think of how much more powerful that jolt in their consciousness would have been had they received the letter, or had someone told them directly. And an interesting aspect of this was there were some differences in response in the ones who wrote gratitude letters. And when they analyzed the letters, the people who were saying, "I am grateful to you," were the beneficiaries. The ones who were using the word "we" did not get substantial benefit. So it's owning your own appreciation of good and sharing that good with others. But if you're too bashful to do it, at least write it down or say it out loud and stick it in a drawer, because you're still going to do good for yourself and in the long and indirectly do good for the person whom you were sending the gratitude to. Now, there's some things that they've learned, and I don't remember where I picked this up. Let me see if I can see a note here. Website called Greater Good, which was reporting the changes in the brain. But here are some other conclusions that came out of this article. Gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. And as I said before, gratitude helps even if you don't share it. The benefits take time, because in this study, even though the students only wrote for 3 weeks, there were still benefits accruing 12 weeks out. So this is a long-term investment in happiness, in better health, in better thinking when you do gratitude. But keep in mind, the overarching thing is, how can you have gratitude if you're not happy? If you don't allow yourself to be happy, if you don't allow yourself to recognize when you're happy. The two are inextricably interlinked. And as people following the divine, happiness and joy ideally is part of our walk in this life. And both happiness and gratitude do create lasting effects. They've actually done MRIs which show the difference between people who are happy and people who are chronically unhappy, shall we say. So the old man was talking about happiness banks. Here we're talking about building happiness by building gratitude, by sharing gratitude, which means we are adding happiness to our bank, more happiness to our bank. It's also easy to rail, and sometimes it's not so hard to choose happiness, but it sure is worth the effort, and it certainly helps you connect with the divine being whom you are part of, whom each of us is part of. It certainly helps you connect with this God stuff world, with this star stuff world that we are made of, that we can make something better of. Excuse me while I take a quick drink. And when you are sharing gratitude and happiness with others, be aware you're adding to the happiness bank of others if they choose to accept it. That's their problem, not yours. You can give it. Whether they take it, that's not your problem. Just by offering, you're better off. Just by offering, you're lifting the world up in frequency. And especially right now with all the tumult in the world, the more often we're able to do things that lift up the frequency, the better off. Edgar Cayce, as I recall, ages ago said we'd go through tumultuous times, but we would come out better in the end. I think that's worth holding on to. Now, some of you are new here, some of you are not, but I have told you in the past about how my mother used to embarrass us kids by giving compliments to people just as she walked down the street, people we never knew before, didn't know afterward, and how after her death, 3 months after, when at least two of the three of us kids could get out to Colorado for a memorial, what we thought would be four or five, six people, the living room was crammed with people who remembered her because she said things that they felt left them feeling good. And that's what they spoke about. Their memories of how, well, I remember the butcher who said how often she'd come in, buy something, and compliment him on the quality of his meats. There are so many people starved for recognition. And it takes so little of our substance to give that good, to give them the opportunity for happiness. And once in a while, yes, you'll encounter someone for whom it feels too strange. But you know what? You offered, just as God offers us love, whether we accept it or not. We can offer love through gratitudes, through sharing happiness. How someone responds to it, that's their choice, not ours. But we can be a true representative of the divine who loves every one of us. Think of that. Every moment of every day, we may have another micro opportunity to share good with somebody. As aggravated as I get with all the sales calls we get here, because we have 6 or 7 lines and they just, that we get call after call. If they're not really obnoxious, I wish them well on their next call. It doesn't hurt me. And they've got a tough enough job, one way or the other. So, sort of as a summation, we here in this community, we're all seekers after becoming closer representatives, closer approximating the purity of divine love, raising our frequencies closer and closer to 700 to 800. Within that context, it certainly doesn't hurt us to build our happiness bank. It certainly doesn't hurt us, and it certainly helps the world to help other people build their happiness bank by handing them happiness dollars, so to speak, gratitude dollars. For isn't gratitude a part of happiness? And here we are, doing our best to walk through this place, doing our best to be joyous, connected consistently with the divine, ideally doing our best to find happiness most moments of every day. And it's simple enough to open our mouth, to smile at someone who may not be expecting a smile. Even just a howdy, how you doing? Or talking to the bank cashier, I hope you have a really good day today. Little piece, think of it as like little fireflies of gratitude and happiness. Thank you so much for the help you've given me today, to the help desk. They can help someone else smile, can help someone else take this piece of happiness and set it aside in their bank account. Thus, the better we become at distributing joy and gratitude, the better exemplars we become of divine happiness and joy that others can look upon, be inspired by, be reinforced by, live with, and thus make the whole world better. Them's my thoughts for the day, ladies and gents. Any contributions? Leah?
I just wanted to say that I resonate with everything you had to say because I'm a believer like you. What you were taught by your mother, I'm a believer of that. Just handing a smile to anyone, just walking down the street. And if you see somebody's shoes and it's like, oh, I like your shoes, even if you would never wear that kind of shoes, that's not the point. The point is they're cute shoes that they're wearing. And I've done, excuse me, I've done that, because men, their shoes, some of them, got the spiffy shoes or the fancy tie or what have you. Because it's easier to compliment a female because she is, that's what in her mind, that's what she's trying to accomplish is the beauty outside that you see. And shoot, those of us has ever had to wear makeup, yeah, it takes time, which is why I probably haven't worn makeup in I don't know how long now. Plus, I've gotten too old and what have you. I could care less. But that doesn't mean I don't compliment those that go do that. So they feel pretty inside. But when somebody allows them to know, yes, I see you, and yes, you are pretty, the blouse, the shirt, the shoes, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just you saw them. And that's what a lot of people want is that do you see me? And you just say, yes, I see you. It's all in here. But when you say, hey, I really like your shirt, hey, you know, even if they wear glasses or something, sometimes some of them wear cute little whatever. And that's just it, or just smiling at them and everything. And that's what people are looking for. They want to know that, yes, I'm seen because I've seen it too many times when kids are little, acting up or whatever, and the parents are literally ignoring them. And the kids trying to all of a sudden realize the parents walking away, all of a sudden it changes. And they're trying to get that parent's attention because the person walking away is rejecting them in a way. So they too are trying to be seen. But as they get older, the more they're ignored, the more they feel they're not being seen, and who knows how they're going to react. And it becomes even as an adult thing. Some adults do crazy things because they want to be seen too.
Yes.
You know, so whether they're grumpy or not, it's their way of their protection. So just giving them a smile makes them, yeah, I see ya. And that's all they really want sometimes. So that's all
Thank
I've
you,
got
Leah.
to say. Thank you.
Anybody else with a contribution? Yes, Ally.
Well, today is the last full moon of, this year. And there's, in the pagan community, there's, we celebrate the new moon, the, full moon, etc. And there's been a lot of full moon blessings and affirmations today. And one of them, kind of really hit. I wanted to read it. I honor the lessons of this year and carry their wisdom forward. I am grateful for the journey that has brought me to this moment. I'm ready to step into a new chapter with clarity and purpose. I'm the one with the cycles of the moon and the rhythm of the earth. And, it just hit me that, we all have that. You were saying, Brian, that, the recognition of, we see things, we can offer, love through sharing, through sharing gratitude and happiness, and it doesn't take much, it doesn't take much to recognize, hey, we're part of this star stuff, this God stuff. And that's kind of, eye-opening, because a lot of times we get caught up in the everyday things, in what we do, how we feel, this challenge, this day, that day, this time of year, really, it's cold, it's dreary, it's whatever. But then we realize I'm grateful for, I can do this, I can walk, I can, we start thinking of the things we can do. I have a neighbor that's in chronic pain, and, I go over and I see things in the house that she's doing, and as Leah says, the recognition, people just want to be seen, and so I notice, when she does things and I compliment, she goes, "Oh, you noticed." And, this past week she was having a very rough week, and, the little things I noticed, the book got moved, her dog was being happier, and just little things. And I said, what did you do? You look different. And she goes, I washed my hair. And I'm like, that's great. You were able to do that today, and she just broke down. And I looked at her and she goes, no one's noticed the small things I do, which to her are big things, because if anyone knows about chronic pain, it can literally make you where you can't do things. And, I'm realizing, as Leah says, the small things, people just want to be seen, but that affirmation, kind of got me thinking, we honor the lessons, we carry their wisdom forward. I'm grateful for the journey that's brought me to this moment. I'm ready to step into the new chapter with clarity and purpose. It's just, okay, we have those lessons. Now we get to step forward. Now we get to look for, a new beginning of the Gregorian year, of what is it going to be like? What is it going to open to us? Freeing, as you said, freeing our heart of hate. Well, if we free our heart of hate, we have more room for love to come in. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please do send me those words so I can send them to everybody who isn't here. somebody else with a contribution. Yes, Bob.
I thought you were, spot on your talk. It was beautiful. And, we are the creator of the movie of our life. And from our perspective, most of us feel that we can change our mind and we can improve the way we think and that sort of thing. But there are so many people, especially this time of year, who are suffering from depression and they don't know how to change things. And all they're seeing on television is, if you take this pill and that pill, and in the small print says may result in fatality. But if you take this pill, you'll be a lot better. And we just need to do a much better job in this country, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, to take care of our damn people.
Yes. Amen, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, there was an article in, I think it was the Daily Beast today, that the United States has the most expensive healthcare for some of the least good results of any developed country in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe we should be talking about happiness pills. A happiness pill a day, a gratitude pill a day. Though there's another article, and I think I mentioned it in a previous talk. There's a strong argument for mini gratitude pills. Every moment that you see something you can be grateful for, you give a thanks right at that moment. So 10, 20, 30 times a day, yay, sort of thing.
Yes.
Anybody else with something? Okay, let's go into our silence, folks, and see what the divine has for each of us to get that we haven't got yet. Okay, close. Very good. So let's do a benediction and let us proceed forward in this winter holiday season to spread joy and love and gratitudes and happiness. Thank you, Divine One, for having given us this community home of people who love you, seek to grow in you, seek to support each other as we walk to become ever better representatives of your divine love. Thank you for providing our needs, for giving us many opportunities for joy, for happiness, for gratitude. Help us to have the courage to share your love, your goodness with those who are hurting. Help us to have faith even when presented with all the difficulties that this earth place is going through. And help us to walk joyously this week and return here again to be with our community. We say thank you for all the good you've given in our lives, all the good that's coming to us. Help us always remember to give you gratitude and joy. We say thank you for everything. Amen.
Amen.
So, folks, have a wonderful time. And I think Sister Pepper must be here because she just said, sent that old piece of prayer or that old piece of song, "Be not afraid whatever betide. God will take care of you." And we'll see you next Sunday.